Welcome to Sober.Coffee, a weekly coffee chat sharing experience, strength, and hope for anyone on the sober road to recovery. You can download Sober.Coffee weekly on all podcast platforms and check us out on Instagram at Sober.Coffee Podcast and on Twitter at Sober.Coffee Pod. To learn more about us and to help support these sessions, visit online at Sober.Coffee. Here are your hosts, two guys on their own path to recovery, Mike and Glenn. Let's join them at the coffee shop.
What up, buddy?
We're sharing pictures of our kids and grandkids,
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
and that's awesome.
Hey, wanna do a rerun?
Let's roll it.
Let's roll it. So last week we had a special host on, Elizabeth. So we begged her to come back this week.
And it's awesome.
Yeah, technically speaking, it was 4 minutes ago, but as we record these,
Behind the scenes, behind the counter.
that's all right. So I just
And
blew
Danny G's
everyone's mind.
A lot of bribery going
I
on.
wish we had a
That's
picture
right.
of Danny G over there just lounging on the couch.
Oh, he's loving it. He'll be up.
Ooh.
He'll be up here. He'll be here next week.
The studio's amazing.
That's right. He's going to wait a week.
This gets better and better.
yeah.
Yeah, the new studio's amazing.
Yeah, isn't it great?
Big,
Audio
yeah.
Hive. Yeah, thank you, Brian. Thank
Very
you
cool.
for all you do for us, man. We appreciate you. So, take it away, Chief.
Well, thanks for having us back. I'm here with the wonderful Jackie.
Hello.
Glenn and Mike, of course. Glad to be here. As we spoke about last time, acceptance. And this morning when I saw Mike in the parking lot with Dan G., he'd asked me about my beautiful necklace, which was
I did indeed.
Yeah,
Yes.
a gift from Jackie for my 6 months, was it?
1 year.
1 year. 1 year.
1 year.
Yeah, I jumped the gun. I told him 6 months, but yeah, for the 1 year, and it's a B, and
It's
it
a
came
B.
with a beautiful note card, and it spoke about that I am exactly where I'm meant to be, and I wear it often, but in the beginning, I wore it every single day to remind myself that I am right where I'm meant to be. That I don't need to live in regret. That I can forgive myself, because if it wasn't for the actions that I took to get sober and dedicate, my life to being better, just in general, being a better person, being a better friend, being a better sister, I wouldn't have this gift of sobriety. And, before, when I came in, I was 43. I was lost. And when I came in, I met these wonderful people, both of you, Jackie, who's, my best friend. And we met in the rooms of AA. And if I didn't come in...
That was meant to be.
Yeah. And if I didn't come in when I came in, I wouldn't know this beautiful person and the people in her life that she's blessed me with. So, yeah, if we talk about that a little bit, where we are in life and how you feel about the paths that got you here.
I love that. I love that a lot. And let me just do a little shout out to Jackie. So I remember when Jackie came in the room as well. And there was just, I'm going to tell you what, there was a commitment from you from day one. So I wasn't there that Sunday morning, but I was there that week at the 7 a.m.s
Yep.
when you started coming regularly to the 7 a.m.s. And there was a desperation, which I connected,
100%.
to because I was so desperate. I came into this not kicking and fighting. I came into AA wanting and just desiring. I was so sick of the me that I had become. I just wanted a better way to live.
Agreed.
And the drinking was really secondary. I was just so miserable. I wanted to be transformed from the miserable person I was into anything else. I would have taken anything else. And anyway, I saw that in you. I saw the same thing. I just saw a desperation, but then I saw this commitment. And then the next day I showed up at 7 a.m. and you were there. And the next day I showed up at 7 a.m. and you were there. And I just knew, my sponsor always says, stick with the winners, right? I just knew you were a winner right from
Thank you.
day
I
one, both of
appreciate
you,
that.
both of you. But I
Love
just
it.
wanted to do a shout out to Jackie.
Thank
You've been
you.
an inspiration to me because you remind me of a level of commitment. Because complacency will kill me. It'll put me right back in the bottle. I need commitment. So thank you for inspiring me.
Thank you. I knew I had to do it different. This wasn't my first rodeo. I went to rehab in June of 2020 and stayed.
Welcome COVID.
Yeah, it was super fun. Lots of stories for a different day. And, didn't really work a program after that because I didn't know how. It was COVID. You hear a lot of times people in rehab, people come in and run meetings, or you can go out and go to meetings.
Right.
We
There was
ran
none of that, right?
No,
Yeah.
we ran the asylum. We ran the meetings ourselves. It was an all women's facility. So you can imagine how that goes of women trying to run a meeting
I
themselves.
can't imagine, but go ahead.
Gosh. It was fun. And then, I grew up in the Zoom world of meetings, and, that's no way to hold yourself accountable. And I kicked and fought and screamed against my therapist when she told me, you need to get your butt in a seat. I was terrified. I was terrified of walking in those rooms. Kind of what we talked about in last episode. I was afraid of being judged, right? And tried to do it Jackie's way, and it did not work. So when I came back in March of 2023, I knew I needed to be with the winners. Like you said, I knew I needed to try a different way because Jackie's way was not working. And I was going to listen to whatever you guys told me to do, no matter what.
Effort. That's what I saw. That effort, that, willingness, we all need it. And then it's time for action. It's time to show up push yourself. And that's courageous to me, to be vulnerable, to come into those rooms. I've never done the Zoom meetings, and I haven't been to rehab, but like you, Mike, the alcohol was almost secondary to me. I mean, I didn't know it at the time, but I was just so broken. And when I came in and I saw all of you, and to your point, Mike, Jackie, that effort, how Jackie came in, and to come in, and I'd see her every day at 7. Right there. And it was a breath of fresh air, but that effort, I saw it, right in front of me. When things are tangible, you know what I mean? And you can touch them. It's just so much more, to me personally, valuable because it's a springboard. You see somebody else that is got things
contagious.
going on. Yeah, and they've got things going on in their life, then you think to yourself, well, shoot, my life, I mean, this is something this person can do. That it's that push that you need. That's the thing about holding each other accountable, but seeing it in others, before you see it in yourself. And I saw a woman that came in there, and like you said, completely open and vulnerable, making an effort, no excuses. That is inspiring to me, and I find it beautiful. That's where we all met, in person. Nothing against Zoom meetings. I know they're very, very important, and especially in those times when you cannot make it elsewhere. But walking into a room of people that I could look around and see on your faces, that you knew, what I was talking about before I even opened my mouth. Have you ever done Zoom meetings before, Glenn?
Oh, yeah. In fact, when
COVID started.
the day COVID went down and locked down,
March 16th.
I had this business conference call line, right?
Where you punch all kinds of codes.
Yeah, you punch all the codes in to log on.
That's what we did the first
mute
night.
yourself. Yeah, for the first week probably.
Yeah, right.
And I mean, there were a lot of people who didn't even know what conference calls were. And so, I mean, we were fumbling around with that. And then we launched my Zoom line.
Yeah, right.
And I probably went to 10 Zoom meetings a week.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, we did.
We had the 7 a.m. and the 6 p.m., and I probably did 10 a week. And I mean, they're still going on, and every time I jump on, they seem to be very repetitive. They're different than the in-person. And, I got to the point, my sponsor said to me, he goes, hey, Zooms are too convenient for you. I'm working my spreadsheets while I'm on Zoom, and he's like, get your ass in the room. Yep. He said, it's a different game. Get your ass in the room. I'm like, okay.
Back to the effort that we were talking about. There's a phrase in AA that I love, and I say it every meeting, and then I say it in between meetings. It works if you work it. It's you only get out of what you put into it. It works if you work it. If you don't work it, if you're going to go half-baked, you'll end up with half-baked results. You've got to. It works if you work it.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I mean, that's what you all taught me. It's something that you can't do. Just, half measures availed us nothing, as they say. It's important. I was told to take a bath in AA, especially in the beginning. I was going to 2-3 meetings a day. And And then, there was a time I went to 5, and because I needed to be there. It was what I needed. I still go every day to the 7s because I get to. I'm afforded that. But, I had to really just say, I'm going to do what you tell me. I'm going to do what you're showing me, because that was important to change just about everything in my life. So I could deal with those issues, with my relationship at home. It's definitely not perfect, but I have accepted the fact that I have a role in it. I have a responsibility. I am in charge of what I put forth. My emotions are mine, and other people's actions. I have to take the good and leave the rest, and watching all of you warriors, you know what I mean?
Wait, did you say warriors or worriers?
I said warriors. I used to be a worrier.
Right.
From
now
a warrior to
I'm
a warrior.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one.
I love that.
Yeah, and it brings you back to your topic, and which is all that work is the foundation blocks.
Right.
But then the result is we get to be where we're at this morning, which is, to me, I'm in heaven right now. I'm sitting around with 4 sober people who get me, who I get them. We're doing the next right thing, and I'm right where I'm supposed to be. Even though I argue with Glenn every year, annually, when our contract terms come up, and we got to write the contract for Sober.Coffee. No, there's no contract. Actually.
There is no contract.
There's no contract.
But we think it's funny.
Yes.
Yeah. You're already bound to each other,
Yes.
through
Well,
this.
for one more year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Only
One
for
more
a year. Only for a year.
Yeah, it's as simple as, taking a left instead of a right. There's no place I'd rather be. This experience that we have today will bleed out into the others, that we affect, whether it's people in our personal lives, people listening to your show. I mean, these are important topics that we're discussing because they really are life and death.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, they're life and death, but then they're more life than death, right? And I love how Glenn says this, and I'll talk like he's not in the room. But I started coming because of the pain, but then somewhere there was this switch that said, the greed took over. I want more of this feeling inside me. I want more of this community. I want more of this confidence. I want more of this peace. I want more of that. And so, I'll bring myself back to that pain point often. October 13th, 2018. I got to bring myself back to where I was emotionally that moment, just for a nanosecond. And then I move on, and I have a greater level of appreciation of where I'm at today.
Yeah, I do too. Hold those memories close to me, and because I do believe that I'm right where I'm meant to be, it doesn't bring me down. It gives me a sense of accomplishment, and it reminds me of what I am working towards. That I never go back to those days, that mental anguish. 2 years ago tomorrow will be the day I took my last drink.
Wow.
And I'm coming up.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Wow, 2
yeah,
years.
and I've been thinking about that a lot.
What was the longest you ever went before your 2 years?
I spent 5 days in the hospital, and I didn't drink.
They didn't have an open bar there?
No, they didn't. But
Okay.
I was addicted to opioids at the time.
Oh,
So after
dangerous.
I
That's
called the-
close to death right there.
I called the EMTs. I called 911, and I crawled to my bedside table and grabbed my I don't know if I can say it, but opioids, painkillers,
sure.
and put it into my shirt, and off I went to the hospital. So I didn't drink those 5 days, but no, I drank every day for years.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And let me just, if I could, just take a quick 60 seconds here. When I grew up, I've always been addicted. I've always been drugs and alcohol. But in the 70s, you kind of knew what you were getting. I knew what was in the bottle because it was sealed. And the pharmacy I got, I knew a root of where they came from. We live in such a dangerous world today.
Yep.
All a kid wants to do is get a high for all the wrong reasons, but for all the right reasons. But their death is knocking at their door because you don't know the source. Opiates are such a tragedy that's happening in this world right now. It breaks my heart.
I agree. And, not to speak out of turn or tell Jackie's story, but, drugs are a part of
Oh,
her
yeah.
story as well.
No
And,
secret.
and that as well, that the drugs, how they can be, cut with anything now.
You're knocking on the door of death every time you swallow a pill.
It's something I struggle with. Unfortunately, I do have people in my life that I do know that are out there still using, and I try not to get on my soapbox with them about it. You don't ever want to come from a place of holier than thou, but I have had some serious conversations with a particular family member of mine being like, hey, aren't you terrified of what could potentially happen? I know when I played that tape back of how much I was using, and I remember those times of having conversations of like, oh, this stuff is not good. Like I don't feel the quote unquote the same as it was last time. That absolutely terrifies the crap out of me if I were to ever go back and hopefully knock on wood never. But to your point of, it is a completely different time. And I think you need to be able in our seat that we're in sobriety. I feel like it's important though. You need to raise that awareness to people out there that you may have in your life that are still struggling.
And maybe that's what we're doing this morning.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, absolutely. There's a difference. I believe when you can speak to your loved ones or even strangers, but with love, and not coming from a place of harsh judgment or preachy or being on a soapbox, that sharing of your experience, strength, and hope. I was told sometimes that we're going to be the only big book people know.
Right.
And again, to what your point was on the last episode, that living amends, it's also, living in sobriety. Yeah, they're seeing that sobriety in the
awesome.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's I think important to share that with others.
I agree. But you know what? People could. I was swallowing and guzzling at the same time, and nobody had the magic phrase for me.
No.
I don't know if Glenn was in my life at that point. Had he said something to me, I don't know that it would have hit. But eventually, like I had 4 big books given to me in my life. Right? They all ended up in the trash. 2 nights on the nightstand to show Nancy I was trying, and then back in the trash. Right? 4. My 5th one was the one I picked up for myself and started doing liner notes. Right? But I wasn't ready to hear that, and that's the frustrating thing. I mean, Glenn could have said any one of his marvelous analogies, and I wasn't ready.
Right.
I just wasn't ready.
I think you got to be ready.
You got to be ready.
I mean, I have a guy right now I'm working with, and no words come out of my mouth will have any impact.
Right.
It's an inside job. It's an inside surrender.
But I believe that they're going somewhere. I believe those words are. I had those stored. Those images of people doing their living amends, seeing their life. I didn't want it yet, but I knew it was out there. Someone had to show me the 4-minute mile was possible.
My favorite line is, and that I'm using with him, I'm like, there is a solution.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to live in the pain. That's all I'm saying, because I know he's going through pain, and I just want to be that subconscious voice that, hey, there's a solution. You know what it is. It's there when you're ready.
Right.
I like that approach, what you said, the subconscious voice, because to your point, I stored all of those one-liners and
That's awesome.
antidotes from rehab or things from my therapist over the years. And as crazy as it sounds, sometimes when I went back out, I would replay those things. They were in there, and as I was actively using, I could hear that subconscious voice. And that, I think, for me, that's where that anguish comes from, is when you realize the confliction within yourself. Like, I'm not living the life that I want to be living, or that I know that I can live, because I'm a slave to drugs and alcohol. So I think that's a lot. That means a lot to me hearing you say that, Glenn, because I know when things started to click with me in the program this time around, all of that stuff came flooding back. And I was like, it's not a matter of like, oh, they're right. It's like, oh, I see what they were trying to do in the moment.
Yep.
Yeah, that willingness, having those thoughts stored. I had not been to AA or rehab, but my sister had told me, and I've said this before. I did what my alcoholic thinking did, and I got mad and cut her out of my life. But I heard, like you said, Jackie, in the morning I'd wake up and I'd hear her words first thing before I went and reached for that drink, and I was, had almost no more pleasure, what little bit that I got from those first couple sips when I would start to lose the shakes, and I would still hear her words. And when I came into the rooms, those phrases, I thought, oh my gosh, all these slogans, what is this? And now I use them all the time. And I saw in all of you, I wanted what you had, and I think that's great. You talked about working with others. Right. I think it's humbling to ask somebody to be your sponsor. We, all have sponsors here. And then working with others, accepting that, you can be there for them. You can show them the way that, you got sober, but ultimately, if they're not ready, I mean, sometimes there's no magic words,
Right.
Carry the message, not the alcoholic.
Yeah, I was told that when I
go.
first started working with somebody. That was huge for me.
Yep.
You can carry the message, you cannot carry the alcoholic, because I think all of us, once we have a little bit of sobriety, we want that so desperately for others.
Right.
And I know Jackie and I have had a few instances here with people that lost their lives and this disease, and we can't want it more than them, and especially for us, we lost someone to suicide, and he had come into our Monday 6 p.m. meeting, and Jackie, if you'd like to talk about that, if that's okay, a little bit,
Yeah, I came in and was sitting behind me, and the pain in his voice and the look on his face, is something that will never, ever, ever leave me. And in that moment, I turned around and I went, in speaking to him as a friend, and a brother in sobriety, I felt like I wanted it more than he did in that moment.
Right.
And that was something that will change my life forever. To your point, carry the message, not the alcoholic, and then shortly thereafter that we found out that, he unfortunately passed away. And it was a tragedy. I think it touched all of us, right, in some way, shape, or form. But I know I will never, ever forget that moment, because no matter what you do, what I said, what any of us said in that room that day was not going to change the outcome. And unfortunately, that is a downside to this disease.
Right.
Yeah, because he got it from all ends. He got love and support. He got tough love. We found out a week later that he ended his own life. And, he'd come in. We'd known him sober and we'd known him not sober.
Right.
But it was a painful, terrible lesson, that we had to learn. That I had a discussion with myself and my higher power after that happened, because this disease, cunning, baffling, powerful. And like Jackie said, we can't want it more than they did. And to have it with somebody that we were all close with, and the desperation that we witnessed that day, was powerful. And it changed me forever. This is not just about me, but we cannot change the outside world like it talks about in acceptance. I have to work on myself and to be there and be present for others. But there are no magic words.
Right.
Being there and being available, I think, is so important.
But I guess my heart goes out to his family,
Right.
to him, because I sat in that seat. I mean, I had the glazed overlook in my mind. I wanted to end it all. I mean, that's how bad things were. And I guess my point is, talking about the moment that I got to with myself, I just knew that I didn't want to feel that way anymore, right? And that's the when you want it thing.
Right.
That was the flip switch when I said I need help.
Absolutely.
That was, so I had the thought in my head that I didn't want it anymore, but then I said I need help. And that's what I heard you say, Jackie, when you came into the program, you need help. Glenn always talks about help and how it's available out there. And
Yeah.
Elizabeth, you say the same thing.
That's
I mean,
exactly-
we were looking for help. It's a we program, you said. So I guess my point is, I just hope that if somebody's listening, the decision can be made and then go get help. I mean, to me, it's like, why didn't I do this when I was 20, right? But I didn't. So I'm happy that I'm being where I am right now. I'm happy with that, and I know I can't change the past. But wow, why didn't I listen when I was 20? Why didn't I just say I need help when I was 20?
Yeah, but I mean, I've had all those markers too. I can remember conversations with people, and I just knew it all.
Yeah.
I had to go through every. I heard somebody say one time, and we do use a lot of phrases. God, he's like, you needed every drink to get you to that point,
Right.
and I really feel that, and I don't beat myself up over any of my past
either.
anymore.
Me neither.
And it's very clear though, man. People pulled me aside, right? I saw this happen, this crack, and it's the boiled frog. I mean, if I went from level 10 to level 0, I never would have allowed that to happen.
Right.
But that's not how this works.
No.
It's progressive. It goes from 10 to 9.85 to 9.5 to
Right.
over time it gets to 0, and your body and your kind of your psyche and how you talk, your self-talk, you adjust to every level down.
Right.
And like, well, I didn't really need that house. That was too much anyhow. And
right.
I don't have to work as hard now. And you justify everything on the way down. I got to the point where I looked around and I had nothing. I was at 0. I had no other options.
The water was boiling.
Yeah, the water was boiling, and I'm the frog that's in the water, and I'm done. I'm cooked. And I like to say, hey, I wish I had some prophetic decision. I didn't have any other choice but turn myself over and surrender.
Yeah, see, I had, I still had the home and a relationship and family, but because it was months and months after my sister said that to me. But like you, Mike, it was those thoughts, those dark thoughts that scared the bejesus out of me. That is what got me into the rooms, and I just wish that for everybody. There is help out there.
Yes.
We've been blessed. I have been blessed to find a solution in AA for today. I didn't wake up this morning and go get a drink, which I did for years and years and years. But yeah, it was those dark thoughts that everybody would be better off without me that scared me to death. All the things that material things I lost didn't matter. So I only wish that for everybody else, that they walk into the rooms or get on those Zoom calls and ask for help. There is a solution. This powerful program led me to my higher power and to all of you. My brothers and sisters in sobriety. I walk into an AA room. I've traveled a bit, and those strangers become friends, and then those friends become family. I firmly believe that when I look at
stronger than family.
Stronger.
There is a bond
Agreed.
with my AA sisters
There's
and
nothing
brothers,
like
man. I'm
alcoholic with another alcoholic.
Right.
So true.
I am telling you. I mean, I got some great relationships in my life. There is nothing stronger, But I'm telling you, that's the value of coming to the rooms over and over again. And a lot of people are like, well, it's repetitive. You hear the same stories. You hear the same people share the same stories.
No, but that
right?
energy that we all exude and get from each other, there's nothing
Repetition
like
is the
it.
mother of all knowledge.
I agree.
But what, and I'll use another phrase, is that, it's hard to read the label on your own jar, right? I see the program working and a winning program in Dan G, in Elizabeth and Jackie and Mikey long before I see it working.
Agreed.
for me.
I could not agree
Long
with you more.
before. And I'm like, man, if it's working for you. I mean, I'm looking at your smile on the face as you're showing your little champ, the pictures of your little champ. I mean, that is the fuel, right? Because you know what? I'm not feeling
Inspiring.
the best today, man. I ain't getting sleep. I'm not feeling good. I'm feeling blah. I had a tough week, right? But I get energized with the smiles. I get energized with the enthusiasm of a sober life.
Yeah. If you can just put one foot in front of the other and get there. And
Oh, I was talking to a guy last night. I mean, he is at 0, and I'm like, all he looks at is Mount Everest. I got this. I'm like, time out. I'm like, let's do this. Let's break this down. And he's in a tough spot. I'm like, can we agree? Let's get you through tonight. and let's craft a good day tomorrow.
Great
What does a
advice.
winning day
Yep.
forget? He goes, yeah,
Moment
but.
by moment.
He's like, yeah, but. I'm like, I don't care about the buts. Right. Let's craft one winning day, whatever that looks like, right? And he's like, man, I've never done that before. He goes, that's a lot easier. And I'm like,
It sure is.
one day at a time, brother.
Right.
Yeah. Sure is.
Question I got to ask Jackie.
Yes.
Would you be better off if Elizabeth wasn't in your life?
No. Absolutely not.
Mikey, that was a silly question.
Well, but I heard Elizabeth's pain. She's like, when she was at that point, people would be better off without me in this world. And
Yeah, I did
I
feel
know,
too.
I know that my life is better with you in this world.
Agreed.
And
Agree.
And I just hope the listeners find that self-value in themselves.
Me too. It's out there.
Yeah.
No.
Man,
Well,
that's
thank
awesome.
you. Thank you so
been
much for
fun.
having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us
Yes.
back.
Ladies,
I
thank
feel
you so much, my
energized.
Sober Sisters.
Two sober
Thank you,
sisters
Sober
do
Brothers.
this
I'm
again.
starting to wake up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
morning, Glenn.
Hey.
Good morning.
Great to be here.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
ladies.
Thanks for joining us for today's coffee chat. To contact the show, email us at podcast@sober.coffee. If you need immediate help, the AA hotline is 800-839-1686. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 800-273-8255. Remember, Mike and Glenn are sharing their own journey on the path to recovery. Any suggestions, medical or otherwise, are their own experiences and should not be viewed as professional advice. See you next week, and remember, there is a solution.